Hi, my name is Bryan Rasch. This is my gender role interview. I will be interviewing Bryan Rasch. He is the husband. He is 27 years old, and I decided to interview him because, first, he's the only other opposite gender of me in the family besides our 14-month-old son. So that wasn't really going to work out with him. So I decided to interview my husband, and I wrote out my 10 questions, and I will be asking him specifically gender roles in the workplace, in society, and in sports. Okay. So, question number 1. Is your immediate supervisor female or male?
Female.
How do you get along with him or her?
Pretty well. Surprisingly, she's into sports, so she likes football a lot. Which, with the Super Bowl around the corner, it helps that we can talk about football.
Okay.
But actually, I have 2 direct supervisors that I report to that are both women.
Okay.
And they have directors who are women.
Okay.
Which are my bosses. So I work with women.
Okay. And is the owner of the company male or female?
He is male.
Okay. Which gender, do you think makes the best bosses? In your opinion?
Having worked with both and having both be a direct, I've always found that women are a little bit easier to work with in that sense. I think men are very prideful and they always want to be right. Mm-hmm. Where women, you might seem like they would always want to be right, but they tend to actually listen to more of your suggestions. It can go half-half, and I think it all depends on the person as well.
Okay. So that was my second question. So my third question. In Guatemala, which is where my family is from, it is legal to advertise specifically for a male or a female in a job posting. It is also legal to advertise specifically for a certain marital classification. So married or widowed, divorced, single. How would you feel if the United States did the same thing?
Yeah, no. That would, I think that would be stereotyping in a sense. Like you're wanting a specific type of person, when in all reality you can get a good worker from any person in a relationship, a marriage.
What about specifically gender? This
I
job
don't think I don't think that should really matter. We almost had a woman be president this year. Mm-hmm. Almost. Someday in the future it's going to happen. I don't think gender should really matter in that case.
Okay. Question number 4. Would you rather have a female or male secretary working in your office?
Ooh. Well, the work I kind of do is secretary work. I do a lot of paperwork. And if I use myself as an example, I would think I would be a pretty good secretary for someone. But I think women do tend to have better organizational skills than men. That being said, because I have worked with multiple genders and multiple people, and so I think I have a good balance of seeing how women work and how men work, and I think women do have a little bit more organizational skills, which in the type of job of secretary, I think that's better.
Okay, and you actually answered the other part to that question. Do you consider yourself a good candidate to being a secretary? Why not? So thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, question number 5. Do you think there are jobs that are better done by females or males exclusively? And why are females or males better at them?
I guess I'll give you an example of something that you typically don't see. I'm a big Lakers fan, and the Lakers are ran by the Buss family, which there are 2 owners. One is Jeannie Buss, which is the daughter of Dr. Buss, who passed away, and then his son. So they split job duties, and I've always actually felt that surprisingly she is better at what she does, and I kind of blame him for where the Lakers are now in that sense. So it is. I mean, I'm using sports world as an example because I think women are starting to become more prominent in the sports world, especially with newscasters and reporters. If you watch ESPN, I would say more than half of the reporters on the field are women now, because I think women tend to are not afraid to ask the hard questions to people, and I think they get better answers.
Okay. Okay, so number 6. Would you be okay with being a stay-at-home dad? Would you rather work and have your wife stay at home?
I would not mind being a stay-at-home dad because I know how to cook, I know how to clean, I know how to do laundry.
So how would you feel if your wife stayed at home? I have to say that because I don't know how to cook or anything, so I mean, it's funny.
Well, obviously, I haven't had a wife. Well, my interviewer, you've never stayed at home. You've always worked with me, and so I wouldn't know how. I think that would make a difference in a relationship, and I don't necessarily think in a good way. I think if you want to work, you should work, and it's not the whole I don't care if you bring in more money than me or whatever the case is. I think if you're happier working, you should then be working. Yes. But I would not mind staying at home because I would love to cook every single day.
Yes, I would like that too. Okay, number 7. Which gender talks more? Which one gossips more?
So surprisingly, for me and our relationship, I talk more.
If you haven't been able to tell by the interview.
I talk a lot. Even at work, like I said, I work with 6 women and there's 1 guy. And I talk the most out of everyone. And gossiping, I mean, I don't usually gossip about people. I'll gossip about like celebrities or something. But I talk a lot. Karen doesn't like me calling as much. She'd rather get a text. But yeah. I'm all for the old school. Let's talk instead of texting. Yeah. But I guess that's just the way I was brought up. I talked a lot. I was probably a little hyper too when I was a kid. So.
Probably. Okay, number 8. Which gender cares more about physical appearance? Do you know what a metrosexual is? And if you do, would you consider yourself one?
I do know what a metrosexual is, and I do think women care more about physical appearance still, but that's changing. I think men are into fashion more now and wanting to actually take care of themselves. I mean, I brush my teeth, I put my deodorant on, I put cologne on, but as you can tell, I don't mind scruffy looks. I do take more showers than most people probably. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's 3 showers a day, which is kind of weird to people, but I like being clean. I don't like being dirty. The thought of going to bed dirty is nasty. The thought of going to work dirty is nasty. So in that sense, maybe I do care more about my physical appearance, but I would say not as much as most. Okay. I do think women more.
Okay.
Into that.
Okay. Number 9. Are there certain fashion trends that only pertain to females or males? And why do you think they are exclusively for females or males?
Oh.
So how would you feel if you saw a woman sagging or...
Oh, I see it all the time. I think where I live and where we live here, you see it everywhere. Guys dressing like girls now and girls dressing like guys. In one particular, I'll give an example, is skinny jeans. I never thought I would see a guy wear skinny jeans because when I grew up in middle school and high school, you were not wearing skinny jeans, but now it's that's all they sell for guys is skinny jeans.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a trend. It's you know, and you see guys putting on more jewelry and more makeup. Even like I see guys all the time walking down with makeup on, and you can tell there's makeup on, and I don't know what kind of person they are, but I mean, you can tell they're putting on makeup. I mean, it's in plain sight.
Okay. Okay, so the last question I have, number 10, and you spoke a little bit about it previously, but basically, I want to know, why do males receive more attention and praise in sports as athletes, not as reporters, than females do? And do you watch any female sports teams? And no pun intended, how can we even out the playing field?
Well, I actually do watch a lot of sports, and I'll watch women's sports in particular. What just happened was the Australian Open. Watching Serena beat her sister Venus was pretty awesome. I love watching Serena Williams play tennis. I'm not a big fan of the WNBA, only because you don't see dunking, you don't see the fast pace of what male athletes bring. Um, that being said, I think women's sports are slowly climbing to popularity of men's sports. Maybe not as much in some areas. I guess one example is women's soccer here in the U.S. It's more important than men's soccer. But when it comes to big time sports, as in football, basketball, and baseball, it is hard to compare men and women. I mean, men are physically different than women. So they're going to be stronger. They're going to be a little faster. That being said, yeah, I'm sure there's women out there who can outrun certain men. But I don't think anybody's outrunning Usain Bolt. I mean,
right.
I think there is a difference, and I think males do receive more attention because the media, sports channels put them out there more often than women. Most people probably wouldn't know that the WNBA is played during the summer and after the NBA is over. No one's watching it, and it's on ESPN all the time. I mean, I'll sit there and watch a game, but I think it has to do what's going to bring in more money, and I think it's sad to say it in that way, but it is. Who's going to bring more money to the company or to the brand? Mm-hmm. And men usually bring in more, which, that being said, I'm sure Serena brings in millions of dollars because of advertisements for her companies. But, I mean, it's a trend upward for women in sports, I think. I think in the next few years we're going to see UFC women being better than men, and I think even most people will tell you now watching the girls fight is better than watching the men fight, and that could be a sexist thing. I don't know, but one thing for sure is these women know how to fight. They train just as hard as the guys, but I mean it's a toss up. It's how you view it.
Okay.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
That's okay. So this was my gender roles interview with my husband, Bryan Rasch. I chose not to show him the questions beforehand so that I could get a genuine response from him. And that concludes my interview. Thank you. Say bye, Bryan.
Peace.